Welcome everybody to the Sports Channel Market Mike. We got our good friend and buddy for quite a long time, Mr. Terry Kaufman. Um, we want to thank you guys for hopping on here, and we also want to give a big thank you to our sponsors, Number One Sports Fan, located in Tulare, Visalia, and Hanford. You need any of your
Sure.
sports merchandise, hit them up. They'll take care of you. Number two, we got Cali Built Graphics. They take care of all of our graphic needs. Along with our polos, our decals, whatever we need for that. In that aspect, hit up Rigo and he'll take care of you there. And last but not least, we have Black MP Living Water. Just hop onto blackmp.com, type in the Sports Lounge, and you will get 35% off your order. And so that is what we got. We want to thank them once again. So, gentlemen, how are we doing tonight on this wonderful Tuesday night?
Doing good. Let's go.
Good. Glad to be here.
All right. So we are going to be talking, obviously, we just had the NFL draft this last week. We were on live during it for, I think we were hour and a half. I don't even recall. I just know it was a little bit. But that's always a good time. Sometimes you can't always get together with friends. And having the opportunity to kind of share our insight and just everyone talking about the draft was always fun. And we're going to be doing a recap for the draft, and it's going to be short and sweet. And let's get right into it. So we're going to start with you, Terry. What is your thoughts on the NFL draft, on everything that happened?
As we covered last week, I don't want to get too much into my fanhood here, but I am going to say, as a Bear fan, I think the Bears did what they needed to do. Disagree or agree with the Caleb Williams pick, but I think they did some things to put themselves in the best possible situation to rebuild. Well, not a rebuild so much as it is taking off from the platform that they've been rebuilding for a few years. Going to move on without Justin Fields, and we'll see how Mr. Caleb Crybaby Williams does.
Holy crap! That's how we're starting this. Okay, Crybaby. Holy smokes. Okay.
Like, go big or go home.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like I said before, responding to the Bears thing, I was disappointed. Disappointed in many ways because I think that they had a solid guy that was number 6 in the league last year that they could have built around, whether if they got Neighbors or if they got Marvin Harrison Jr., even started building around that, and also doing some things internally so that they can set themselves up to win. But instead, they went for Caleb Williams. They sent, of course, Justin Fields to the Steelers, and like you said, I think it is a rebuild, and now I think they just started that process all over again. I think they just started the Justin Fields effect right back over again. So you're going to have 1 or 2 years before you can actually see what kind of Caleb Williams you're going to get. And by then, you're going to have a young team like Green Bay Packers that is going to be dominating because they're getting old. They're going to be getting older, but they're also going to get wiser. They're going to get better, and their schemes are going to get a little bit more better in that whole division. It's just interesting to me how these GMs are working these things, and it's like we talk about it all the time about development, and they don't give no time for quarterbacks to develop anymore these days. And we'll talk a little bit more about that because, of course, we're going to probably talk about the whole Falcons, Michael Penix Jr. thing. But going back to the Bears thing, I think that was a mistake for me. I think they had a quarterback in Justin Fields that they could have actually built around. I know you gave him 3 years, but who did you really give him in 3 years to be able to be an asset to the team? I mean, the dude was having to run for his life most of the time that I've seen him. And there was one touchdown that he scored that was a fantastic touchdown. That touchdown, he slid in there. What was it, in the snow or the rain? And
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no protection or nothing. And weapons, he barely even had any weapons. And now you over there get a running back coming from the Philadelphia Eagles that just came off of 1,000 yards rushing season. And you get that now with them, which would have enhanced Justin Fields. You throw in a Marvin Harrison Jr. that would have enhanced that because I believe you guys have DJ Moore, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, you have DJ Moore. So now you're a double threat duo right there, and then just work on your offensive line. I mean, the whole pick in itself was just it didn't sit well with me. The way that they structured that team. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens. I mean, it might work out for them. I might be completely wrong right now, but over the time that I've seen quarterbacks come and go, I just know that there's a development phase, and usually it takes 1 or 2 years before you actually see a good quarterback happen. And I know what you're gonna say, CJ Stroud. Yeah, but we're gonna see who CJ Stroud is this year. You're gonna say Brock Purdy. Well, Brock Purdy's set up to win because he has all these weapons, right?
Mhm.
They're not these phenomenon quarterbacks anymore, like Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Even Peyton Manning had a horrible first year.
3-13.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see. I mean, the league is not how it used to be anymore. It's more fast paced. The schemes are different. You know, your tight ends are not blocking tight ends anymore. Sure, you look at Travis Kelce. You look at now Bowers coming into the league. It's going to be the new guy. That's supposed to be the new Travis Kelce. You had these guys. It's different. The game has shifted, and you need that running attack. You need a mobile quarterback. You need a quarterback that knows how to make decisions. And this is what I'm going to leave on this one. I'll let you guys take over. Is I'm even going to talk about my own quarterback, Jalen Hurts. The one thing that we're missing from Jalen Hurts is that audible. Being able to get into a position to where you see the defense and you change the play as you go. You kind of see it a little bit with Patrick Mahomes, but that's more of Andy Reid. Andy Reid is switching things up, and Patrick is kind of running with that and designing that. But you're not going to get the Aaron Rodgers anymore. You're not going to get the Tom Brady no more, and you're not going to obviously get guys like that to be able to audible. So that's the one thing that we're missing, and we'll see what happens this year. It's going to be very, very interesting with that. But I'm disappointed on that whole scenario. I'm disappointed in that pick.
So for me, I think my biggest thought was the Brock Bowers pick. You know, you talked about the top, basically the next Travis Kelce. You know, the biggest issue that the Raiders had is the fact being that they don't have a quarterback still. You know, they couldn't trade up. They tried doing everything they can. You know, they do have Uncle Rico, more than likely probably going to take the position as a starter over Aiden O'Connell. You know, and so my thought process to that is, you know, maybe Uncle Rico can throw it over the mountain or something. And
well, things would have been different. Things would have been different,
yeah.
like you said.
You know, but for me though, I mean, I think it's smart. I think it was a smart pick by the Raiders, and by taking Bowers, because now it gives them. Michael Mayers was not a receiving tight end when he was at Notre Dame. You know, he is a blocking tight end. He was able to catch the ball. That's what he was. Brock Bowers is a receiving tight end who's able to block. So you got two different scenarios, you know, and pairing him up with Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams. I mean, that's going to be a dual back set, or dual tight end set. I'm going to see. You know, so that's my thought process with the draft.
Gallup?
Yes. You know, they just signed Gallup. I mean, so that'll give them that extra receiver. So you have, you know, and plus they still have Hunter Renfrow.
Renfrow.
You know, so you got, you know, they got a good receiving core. So to me, it's like you can take. I'm just going to mention this name. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl with the Bucs.
Sure.
He was a mediocre quarterback.
At best.
You know, so I'm not saying Raiders to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying better as a receiving core. And are they going to beat the Chiefs? The Chiefs are still the team to beat in the West. Realistically, they're back-to-back champs. Let's be honest, you guys. They're the team to beat. You know, so for me, that's my thought.
You know, the Raiders have always done something, though, over the years, Mark, if you've noticed. Obviously, I don't remember the 70s, but I always remember what Al Davis always said was he didn't draft by need. He drafted the best player that was available at that time in the draft. And that's why the
Right.
Raiders they've always had players, good or bad. They've always had names, and I think that's what the Brock Bauer trade was, or draft pick was. It was basically let's make a splash. You're going to hear me say that multiple times, just like you did last week. They had many needs, obviously, right? But I think they took the best player available at that time, especially like you said, their other tight end that they drafted from Notre Dame. He's not a receiving threat, and Bowers is. And I just want to
Right.
throw that in there with the Raiders. They do something that I wanted the Bears to do for years, and they're finally starting to do it, which is let's draft some players. Let's draft we may not need a tight end, but if he's a stud and he's a above average or an extraordinary tight end, let's take him and let's just see what happens. So I like that pick. As you said, so do you. So I just like that whole mindset Al Davis had when he was running the show, and obviously it's trickled down to his son running the show. And I like the pick. I wish the Bears would have got it, to be honest with you.
Did you guys ever think about this? Now we're talking about Brock Purdy set up to win. That if you put Brock Purdy, let me ask you this first question, and I'll close with my thing about the Raiders. If you put Brock Purdy in any other scheme, do you think he'll be a successful quarterback? Yes or no?
Not as successful as with the Niners. No, the Niners are a very good team, very good offensive line, a lot of weapons, a great defense, obviously, right? I mean, if you would have put him on the Bears last year, I think the Bears would have finished right about where they finished.
What if you put him on the Carolina Panthers? Would he have done a better job than Trey Young did?
He'd probably be dead. He'd probably be dead. He would probably be.
This is my point.
He probably would have broke David Carr's sack record for the year. Was like 55 sacks in a season, or 155, whatever it was. Yeah, it wouldn't have been good. And which I don't fault Stroud for that. Even being in Carolina, I think he's a lot better than what we saw last year. So excuse me. Let me correct myself. Not Stroud. Bryce Young. Talk about Carolina.
Bryce Young. So think about this, guys, and I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. Brock Purdy is not the best quarterback in the league. Obviously, he's set up to win in the scenario that he's in, right? He has a solid defense. What does the Raiders have? They just built their defense and built their defense even stronger. They went and picked up Gallup, right? They picked up Bowers. Their offensive line maybe needs a little bit of help, but ultimately they have some weapons. And let's be honest, Minshew was the best second-string quarterback there was in the league, right? So
sure.
now he's a starting quarterback. That doesn't. I mean, depending on what the scheme is, that defense is built to win. So is he going to have to do a lot? Is he going to have to do more than what he did on the Colts? And I don't
they
think
lost
he
Josh
is.
Jacobs, right?
Yeah, that's
to me hurt. That's going to hurt.
I think that's their biggest weakness is running back now.
Now, yeah.
And you mentioned most sacks in a season that could have been broke. It was David Carr in 2002 with 76.
76. Okay. Yeah.
76. But do you know who number 2 was? The most quarterback sacked in the NFL in history?
Probably it was Justin Fields last year.
2022, 55. He had 55, and then in 2023, actually was Sam Howell with 65. So Howell is Washington. So that's, I mean, obviously we know Washington needed a quarterback. I think they got the best quarterback in the draft. But for the Raiders, they still need to fill. I feel bad for Jaden Daniels. I do.
Absolutely.
To me,
division, we have to deal with them twice a year.
He ain't got to worry about it. They ain't got nobody else. He's going to net broken just like Alex Smith did.
He's going to have to throw it and catch it.
I mean, I hate to say it. Washington is going to have to basically, what the heck are we going to do? Are we going to have an Alex Smith occurrence? Only thing that's good about Jaden Daniels is he can run. He can elude the pass rusher. If not, you're going to see the third leg broke. Between Joe Namath, and then of course Alex Smith. I mean, Jaden Daniels. If he couldn't get out of the pocket, he'd have been number 3. Imagine if it was Drake May.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that was probably the smartest pick in the draft. because they need help at quarterback, but it's definitely, definitely different. On to the next one.
Yes,
So,
sir.
who do you guys think had the top three? Out of the teams, who would you rank the top three when it comes to the draft?
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Damn. I'm not going to be biased.
You can be biased. It's okay.
No, I'm not going to be I'm not going to be. But they are in my top three. So Steelers, okay, number one. And then I got KC, number two. They picked up a really good so they have the fastest three running back what you wouldn't even call that a duo, but triple threat in the whole entire league now. So that's gonna be crazy. And then you add Travis Kelce. And then it's Fly Eagles Fly, number three. For some reason, I love Howie Roseman. I mean, the man knows how to like pull rabbits out of hats. I mean, he got the two best corners out of the draft. That's gonna like take us. I mean, I think I shared this with you guys. So last year, the Eagles were ranked 31st in pass defense, and Mitchell and Cooper allowed 0 touchdowns on 825 combined coverage snaps in 2023. Like, that just leveled us up. But we're not even talking about Alante Maddox yet. We're not even inputting Reed. We're not in. I mean, Blankenship. We're not talking about Slay yet. We're just talking about the two rookies we just drafted. So I don't know how he pulls these rabbits out of hats, but God bless his soul. I mean, I love the Philadelphia Eagle. This dude just keeps doing it and doing it every year. And then he goes and pulls out Saquon Barkley and free agency. Bro, come on. Like, this is crazy now. Strong defense. He got a strong tackle. Also got he got a couple of linemen in the free agency as well. That's going to help us out. But that defense, man, one of the things that Mark talked about a lot last year was our linebacker core, and we try to go get Shaq to help us out, things like that. We just beefed up that. I don't know if you guys seen the draft or seen the free agency and what we did on the linebacker core, but that linebacker core looks nasty. And so I think we just took care of the two holes that we lacked last year in our defense. Now it's just all up to Vic, right? I mean, it's just going to be up to Vic now at this point. But I got Steelers up there, and I got KC, but I also got the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mike, let me throw something in there with your Eagles. Didn't they get a compensatory pick and pick up Trotter Jr.?
Oh yeah, so we're talking about linebackers. So Jeremiah Trotter Jr. They did pick
I don't
him
know
up.
I don't know how good he is, but that's a big fan base pick.
According to Mark, he's just as good as his dad.
Well, that's a start. Yeah.
Watching him play in college, I mean, and I've actually watched some videos of his dad and did comparisons, very similar. His dad does have a little bigger size, but the son Junior, he actually has the speed. And so I don't foresee him being a strong side backer, but put him on the weak side.
Sure.
I'm just saying, with that speed on the weak side back, I mean, all you got to do is basically you better have a very good blindside tackle, because I really do think that he is. I think he has the capability of being better than his dad.
Oh wow!
And he's gonna play a lot more third down and longer situations than his dad did. More of a not that he's not a run stopper, but more of a pass stopper compared to his dad.
Yeah,
coverage linebacker, I guess.
We also picked up Will Shipley.
Yeah.
Is that Texas?
Clemson.
No, Clemson.
Clemson. Okay, Shipley. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was informed that I guess we don't have Boston Scott anymore.
Nope,
so,
he's gone.
That was a need that we probably needed to fill. Saquon is not gonna. I don't think he's going to take all the reps that he needed. That he needed to be the workhorse over in the Giants. He's not going to have to do that over here. Obviously Jalen Hurts has. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's going to be super healthy this year. I know he had a little knee problem throughout all the season that kind of nagged him, but he had 15 touchdowns. 15 touchdowns. Probably half of them came from the shove, the Philly, the tush push. But he had the most touchdowns, rushing touchdowns in the league, next to McCaffrey at 13. So running the ball and carrying the load, Saquon's not going to have to do that. So with adding Shipley to there, still have Gainwell, and there's 4 of them. Missing one. Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not going to matter. It really isn't.
Yeah. So,
real quick, just so you know, Mike, I don't know if you read this. They had Eagles have announced that. What's that cat that they took in the first? No. Bradbury is actually going to be playing underneath, so he's going to be basically second string, and they're going to do everything they can to try and cut him possibly to help save on dead cap space, because he's owed $15 million on dead cap. And so as long as he does not have
21.
Nope, it's 15, according to what I read. So with that pickup of both the Great White Hype, in the second round, and plus that Quinion Mitchell, I mean,
hey,
that
CJ
secondary is going to be
Garner-Johnson.
legit.
CJ Garner-Johnson.
Yeah,
Bruh.
He's back.
He's back.
So the Eagles are going to be stacked. I really do think the Eagles probably got the best chance of winning the NFC overall.
Oh,
for me, my top three
on paper,
right?
On paper, we got to see what these offensive and defensive new minds bring. Are they going to make Jalen Hurts' life a lot easier? Are they going to bring the Shaikin type of offense back, making it a lot easier for these guys with their schemes? Are they going to mix it up during the season where film can make it more, it was just predictable last year. It was just the same thing over and over again. And I know with Vic, he has a long resume, so I'm not too worried about the defense as much as I am with the offense. I want to see what they do offensively. But yeah, you're right. I mean, on paper, they look great. They look like the best chance of beating pretty much anybody on the NFC side.
I like that. So for me, I am actually going to say I think number one is the Steelers. I think they've done great in not only free agency. You got Justin Fields at a very team-friendly contract to sit there and play backup. But then you have Russell Wilson, who can help mentor Justin Fields a little bit more, similar styles. And you're playing him. Wilson's going to be the starter. Wilson's going to be the starter, yeah.
Be a starter. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's going to be the starter. And him only being owed $1.5 million by the Steelers, everything else is being picked up by Denver. So I think that's a very smart play on that aspect. But I think the biggest reason why I think they're the best when it comes to it is their offensive line. They addressed it very well. Troy Fautanu, Zach Frazier at center, and also Mason McCormick. But those were very crucial areas for Pittsburgh. But the biggest one, I think, and he should have been a first-round pick if it wasn't for injuries, and that is Peyton Wilson at linebacker. The fastest linebacker in the 40 time at the combine. But like I said, medical was the only reason why he dropped. And so that's why I've got the Steelers at the best. Actually, at number 2, I think it honestly was the Chargers. I kept thinking, like, man, I'm going to sit there. We're going to see something stupid. My mentality, I thought, we're going to see Justin Herbert traded. I said it here. And I was like, are we going to see Jim Harbaugh blow up the Chargers? Luckily, he didn't. But by taking Joe Alt with the first round, but then in the second round, trading up to take Lad McConkey to take a place of Keenan Allen, who was going to be he was in a contract year, and he's old. So I think that's why, him, and then also adding that linebacker position with Junior Colson, which allows Harbaugh to have a familiar face. So I got Chargers at 2, and I mean, let's be honest, guys. It doesn't matter. You can like them or hate them. The Eagles had seriously probably the third best draft in the whole freaking thing. I agree with you. Roseman he's a freaking genius. He really is. I think he's carrying around. I don't think everyone talks about, we hear 4-leaf clovers. I think Howard Roseman is just carrying around a freaking leprechaun.
A rabbit's
Screw
foot.
I don't even think it's a rabbit's foot. I'm going to say he's just got the luck of the Irish, and he just carries around a freaking leprechaun with him. Let me go ahead and where's the rainbow at? Okay, let's go to it. And it falls in him every freaking draft.
Every draft for the last 3 years. And Michael Parsons is disgusted and sick of it.
which I love. I love it.
Who do you guys? We'll make this one quick. Worst three in the draft. Who do you guys got?
All right, let me jump in there. I'm gonna go ahead with the bottom 3 because you guys are talking all sunshine and rainbows here. So I'm gonna go into the bottom. I'm gonna go to the dungeon, the doldrums of the draft here. So first and foremost, I don't like to hate on them too much, but I'm gonna take the chance when I get it. And that's the Dallas Cowboys.
Come on now.
Horrible. Did they forget the draft was last Thursday? Did they forget about free agency? It did start not long ago.
This season.
I thought I might have forgot about free agency. That's why they forgot. But apparently, I knew it was going on, and they didn't. So for whatever that's worth, but to be sarcastic, I love the signing of Zeke. He's only 10 years past his prime, so that's awesome. I don't know.
To get production out of him, it was the Tony Pollard effect. You're going to need he's more of a third down back at this point, and short range and short yardage. But you're going to need that running back. I think they got a couple of running backs in the draft, if I'm not mistaken, if you could look that up. But they got a running back. They supposedly that it's supposed to help Zeke in the backfield. But yeah, they signed Zeke. He's way past where he's at. I think that he's going to come in, do the same thing that he did and that he always does, right? Give you that short yardage, give you some ground and pounds, and he might break a couple. But that's all you're going to get from him. And you're going to need, like I said, you're going to need a running back that's going to go east and west. East and west and can catch out of the backfield. That's not Zeke. And so as long as you have that makes that Dallas offense a little bit more of a threat. But yeah, go ahead, Terry. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Sure.
There, but
no.
The whole Zeke thing was a big thing.
So they did draft Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma, number 1. That was their number 1 pick at the end of the first round. So I guess if you're going to draft Zeke, you better get someone to protect him. I didn't like it overall. They did not draft a running back that I can see in the entire draft.
Nope.
So I know why they can't do a whole lot. They owe the most overrated quarterback in the NFL history about $60 million this year or whatever he's owed. So I can see that. So we'll go ahead and put an X on that one. We'll put a bow on that one. Number 2, even though I initially liked the pick, I hated, now that I'm looking at it, the decision that Atlanta made to take Penix. I don't hate the Penix pick. I don't hate the Penix pick. What I hate is the fact that they guaranteed so much money to Kirk Cousins. And the only problem I have with it, honestly, it's not that it's a horrible draft pick, because the idea for the future is there. I get it. I get what they're trying to do. The problem is they basically told Kirk Cousins, we're not winning with you in the next 3-4 years. That's his contract, right? 4 years. So they basically told him, we're not going to give you anybody else. We're just going to draft the replacement for you. And while you're here, teach him how to play the position. So I didn't like that. I like the Penix pick, just not in Atlanta with already signing a quarterback for the amount of money they gave him. And then last but not least, let me throw out here the craziest move of the draft that I thought was just indicative of, and I don't even know who's running the show in Buffalo. I don't know the GM's name. But the fact that Buffalo traded down from 29 to I think 32, and I think they ended up picking the first pick of the second draft, and allowed, not only allowed, but willingly gave Kansas City the pick to draft the fastest person that's ever showed up to the combine in the last, I think, 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether Xavier Worthy is that great of a receiver, that remains to be seen. But the one thing you don't do is trade a pick to the team that continues to knock you out of the playoffs. And let me make it even to rub salt in the wound. Buffalo ends up, not only do they end up picking 3 or 4 picks later, but they pick the receiver. So you traded back to get a receiver that's not as good as the receiver you gave to your arch rival. I don't get it. I think that's insanity. They talked about it plenty during the draft. I think that's nuts, and I can't wait to see Worthy put up 215, 10 catches, and a couple touchdowns next year in the AFC Championship game, because that's who we'll be playing again. So it's unbelievable to me. So there's my takeaway from the doldrums of the draft, the bottom feeders.
What do you got, Mikey?
Oh, I'm right with him, except the Atlanta pick. I think they the Penix Jr. was strategic so that we don't know what kind of Kirk Cousins we're gonna get coming out of here. But I believe what I heard on First Take is that they at least got 2 years and then all that guaranteed money. But again, this guy's gonna be, if you're gonna pick somebody who's gonna be ready. If you're trying to win, because let's just call it what it is. The South is not going to be hard to win, and so you're going to have an opportunity. If you're going to have an opportunity to win the South, you're going to pick the best quarterbacks, and they have 2 of the best quarterbacks ready to go. Because they don't. I understand the whole money issue, but I mean, it's almost like the Jets situation, right? Like, you got rid of Zach Wilson for what? And is Rodgers going to be there and take them to the promised land? We don't know. What happens if he does get injured? There goes a whole another season, right? But at least on the other side, and that division's a lot harder than it is on the South. So I think Atlanta's thinking, well, this is a winnable division. Let us go get somebody so that we have even more security, and we can win now. And so they're thinking of winning now. And I don't think that was a horrible pick. I just think that the scenario was horrible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I agree.
Yeah. I'm going to say this. So worst draft, the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sorry. You just mentioned Mikey right now. You talked about, the best quarterbacks out there. I'm just like, Kirk Cousins is 36 going into this season, and they're paying him. He has a $25 million cap hit. Year 37, he has a $40 million cap hit, and in 2026, which he'll be 38, he has a $57.5 million cap hit, which takes up 20% of their cap. They do not have an opt-out until after the 2026 season. So they can go ahead and say, hey, we're going to cut him after the 26th season, $35 million cap hit.
They're stuck with him, basically.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That to me, I don't care. The South is going through, let's be honest, it's going through Tampa.
Does anybody have his agent's number? Because I'd love to get in touch with the guy, because that guy's a miracle worker.
That's what I'm saying. He is, who he reminds me of? It's kind of, he's a multiple agent, Drew Rosenhaus.
Oh yeah.
If anyone knows sports, yeah. He is a Drew Rosenhaus type free agent, agent. The guy all of a sudden is like, oh, let me sprinkle a little magic dust.
Yeah.
I think Rosenhaus is carrying around a freaking leprechaun too for the money he's gotten some of his guys paid.
I think I saw something the other day that showed Kirk Cousins has received more and will, by the time this contract is up, more guaranteed money than anybody in the history of the league. Every one of his contracts are like 90% guaranteed.
Yeah. And I'm like, guys, he's never won one playoff game? So Atlanta, worst draft.
Okay. I think we're a consensus on that one. Yeah, all 3 of us.
The second worst for me, again, the Atlanta Falcons. Because Michael Penix, like seriously, Yes, he went to a national title game. Actually, no, he didn't even go to the title. He went to the top four. But still, it's Michael Penix. The guy has such an unorthodox arm throw. I mean, he's going to have a lot of work. You have an old
he throws like
quarterback.
He throws like two.
Yes, exactly. You have a very unorthodox throwing style. It's going to have to get corrected, and now you're going to have to pay that first-year guaranteed contract and the top 8 pick. I'm sorry. He is not worth it. So my top 2 worst picks in the draft obviously is Atlanta. The last one, I'm going to say this, is the Tennessee Titans. I said at the draft, J.C. Latham. I got no problem saying it. I say it again. Great offensive lineman. But seriously, number 7, a guy that if you wanted to get J.C. Latham, trade down. He was one of the best offensive linemen. He was the second best right after Joe Alt. Him and Mims out of Georgia.
Well, they went defense all the way, Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm just like,
after Latham.
After Latham, they're like, hey, we're going to take defense. But I'm just like, trade down, get more picks. I mean, I'll always say fuck Bama. And that's where he's from. But like, seriously, the worst freaking pick. I mean, I can't compare on which one's worse between Atlanta and Tennessee.
Well, we don't need an offensive. At least Tennessee's pick will be on the field.
This is true. This is true. He better be on the field for what they're going to pay him at 7. So to me, the South is running. Going back to Atlanta with the worst draft. I'm sorry, it's going through Tampa. Baker Mayfield's returning. We know Mike Evans is still there, and I mean, just overall, to me that was a waste of a pick. Trade down, get more picks. Start improving.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Go for it.
Mike, I got a question for you, if I may.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on this change in philosophy we saw this year. What was it, out of the 32 picks in the first round, 20 some odd were offense between wide receiver
26.
and quarterback? So I think we've seen a shift here. What do you think about that, man? It's all about offense. Load up on offense. It used to be defense and years ago running backs. We didn't see that at all this year. What do you think about that?
I think a lot of it has to do with the change of it starts when they're 8, 9 years old. I think we go all the way back on how we are now shifting into skill. We're spending more time with our skilled players than we are teaching them how to hit harder and be more aggressive. Every kid wants to be the quarterback, and every kid wants to catch the ball. Every kid wants to run the ball. So their focus is always going to be offense, running up the score. If I could run up the score, it's just about, either the defense has to adapt and try to stop me, or we're going to run up the score to 100 and as quick as we can. And you kind of already see it with Miami, of outrageous 70 points they put up this last year on and then I think the Rams, was it no, the Chargers, and was the Chargers against Raiders or something like that? It was a run up score too. But the whole thing it starts when they're younger, and I think because they're getting not only bigger, but they're getting faster, more like I was talking a little bit about, like you don't see the typical tight end anymore. Mark was talking about like May being like that blocking tight end. Like you really don't get that anymore. You're getting these guys that could be wide receivers, and it's causing problems on defense with your linebackers. So what has to happen? Now you got guys like Slay, who has to come down and now take a tight end, because it's hard to shut down a Travis Kelce. It's hard to shut down a Gronkowski and all these other guys that are going to run all over your linebackers or your edge rushers. And they're
going to run away from them. Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot easier. So yeah, you're starting to see a shift in how the speed of the game is happening, but it's not only happening in the NFL. One of the things that we're starting to realize is it's happening in the NBA as well. And it's also happening in your MLB. We're just talking about Dela Cruz. We just talked about we could talk about Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts going from right field to second base to shortstop. He's stealing bases. Like the game, every single game and every single sport has been moving a lot quicker because of how the coaches and AAU and everybody is treating the game as speed and running up the score is what's important. And what's
Sure.
sad about what's the downfall of all of this is that they're not going to teach you mobility training, which is causing injuries. They're not going to teach you
Right.
consistency. So you're going to get more inconsistency than you are consistency. But you could be a Dak Prescott, throw two interceptions, and then throw 3 touchdowns and still win a ball game. Why?
Right.
Why
Yeah.
is that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why is that? It's because
Well,
the game has shifted that way. It's shifted
and
so
in-
that it's more fast paced and to run you down. If I can run a defense
right.
down,
You're right.
then I can run the score up. And I don't care if I throw two interceptions. So it all starts when you're younger, and they're teaching these guys, I think, the incorrect way. But what are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do when you got a kid that is 6'7" and can run a 4.2, a 4.3, or
Right.
4.4? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a plus. It's a plus. So that's all I got to say about that. It's just every single game and every single sport is changing that way. A lot of older generations, of course, older than us, hate it. The generation underneath us is just unsure, and we're like kind of embracing it, kind of adapting to it. You're seeing centers in the NBA shooting 3-pointers more than they are posting up. Like it's just things are changing now, and we just got to learn to, as a coach, as a GM, as an owner, is know that we either adapt or we're going to lose the ball game. And so that's why they're loading up. That's why you see Philadelphia Eagles cannot score 21, 28 points and win against a 49er team that scores 42 points or more, right? So that's just how it is, man, and it's crazy. And same thing with, it's the same thing with the Chiefs, right? They're running up the score. Same thing with the Bills. They're running up the score. Ravens are running up the score. So it's all about scoring the football. And then that's the biggest complaint in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was, what about the holds? What about this? What about defense? It's like, no, score freaking touchdown.
You want to see scores.
Because that's what the game is all about. The game is about scoring the damn touchdown and not kicking the field goal. And so that's just my thought process on that.
Sorry, guys. Pardon me for 1 minute, guys.
So real quick, I'm going to hop on there. Yeah, obviously, we go through things. Hold on a second. Okay. No, I agree with you on that. You know, the speed is killing people, and it's hurting a lot of people. I mean, the first running back wasn't taken until the second round, the 14th pick in the second round. So that was where I was just like, man, I don't know, man. I don't like this NFL. I don't like, you know me, I like defense.
Yeah, smash mouth football. You like smash mouth football.
Exactly. That's exactly what I want. I want smash mouth football. I want to sit there, do I want to see points scored on the board? Yeah. But I enjoy that 13-7 game, or even 21-10, something close. 70-20 on that Miami game.
Stupid, yeah.
Dude, I'm like, no, this is dumb.
Mercy rule or something.
Yeah, that's where I was just like, no. This is what we got, and this is where we're going to be at. And so that's my biggest thing. Last question.
Well, let Terry respond real quick because he's the one that asked the question.
Yeah. All right, go for it, Terry.
As far as the offensive impact on the draft?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and I agree with your guys' points, especially Mike, but I'll tell you one thing, the league they want this, and they've changed the rules to basically eliminate defense, right? So what are the kids, like you say, they're starting early. They're looking, well, what am I going to be if I'm going to be a successful athlete? You're going to play on offense.
Yeah.
You're going to be marketed on offense. You're going to be famous. You're going to be more flashy. What I mean is defensive players are slowly more and more in all three sports getting pushed to the side. There's no more big men, no more dominant big men like there was in our day. And I don't mean to sound like the old man telling the kids to get off my lawn, but the days of Shaq, the days of Alonzo Mourning, the days of Hakeem Olajuwon are gone, obviously in the NBA, and it's just every team is full of 6'4" to 6'6", 215-pound slashers that can dunk, shoot, dribble, and play a little bit of defense. But you can't guard nobody anymore. You can't foul anybody hard. That was the emergence of Steph Curry right there. That changed the NBA. Baseball, same thing. They take away the shift. They want to do everything they can to increase offensive production. And just since we're talking about the NFL and football, you can't, these corners, as good as they are, the corners that you guys got in Philadelphia, Mike, they can barely do their job because they're not allowed to. You can't touch nobody.
5 yards.
5
yards. That's what you got.
You got to make sure they're staring at you and kissing your ear before you hit them. You can't hit nobody if they're not looking anymore. There's no repercussions for going over the middle, and that really has just vaulted the offensive game. They talk about eras and guys not being able to play in certain eras. Imagine if the greats that played 30, 40 years ago, 20 to 30 years ago, came back now when the receivers didn't get touched. Well, how many yards would Jerry Rice have if he was allowed to run free? This man, there's people in jail that have done worse things than that have done less to people than the DBs did to Jerry Rice back in the day. This man was molested on a weekly basis. No defense is what I'm saying, and it's just we're finally seeing that now in the draft with all these offensive guys because the teams know that the rules are slanted in favor of the offense. So I guess that's my overall point on that.
And my response to that is real simple. I don't know if you guys know this, but 3 years ago, we'll call it 4 now. The NFL has, and everybody else is following suit. A couple of things about betting right here. Me living in Vegas, knowing betting, things like that. More excitement in the game. You've seen the whole Taylor Swift. You've seen the whole international game, right? More international games, things like that. The excitement of it. But what the NFL has done is shifted into an entertainment. So they're an entertainment industry now.
Sure.
And so now the betting has become different. And so that's what everybody else is going to. Every single sport is gonna just like the WWE, right? It used to be WWF, now it's WWE, entertainment. It's all about entertainment. It's all about the raw. They want teams that could score. They want the team that is most electric. They want that because viewership, money, endorsements. It's a money game now.
Sure.
So
yeah,
if you can't produce that, then they don't want you to be the face. So and every sport's going to follow suit. You're going to start seeing every sport follow suit because it's all going to be about the money. The only ones you probably won't see is like golf and tennis because they've been had money. But these other sports, they're following
not to sound mean. I'm not trying to knock golf. I mean, it is one of the most difficult sports to try and figure out, especially as a former baseball player. But golf is a hobby. Tennis is a hobby. I'm not trying to say they aren't athletic. They aren't athletes. I'm not saying that. But they're not sports. That's just my personal opinion. That's like people trying to sit there and say cheerleading is a sport. I'm sorry. That is not. I'm not saying that those that are doing those things are not athletes. But to take the physical abuse, the wear and tear, hold on, let me go golf 18 holes and walk the 18 holes. I can't use a cart. What? I mean, just the physicality between basketball, even though it's nothing but actors there, then you got the NFL as the no flag league, unless it's going to benefit and then of course you got our lovely commissioner in Major League Baseball that's just an idiot. He just makes some dumb decisions. Let's speed up the game. Let's make it faster. It's taking too long. I'm sorry.
Right.
We're not playing checkers here. NBA is
Yeah.
checkers. The NFL is checkers. I have always said Major League Baseball, we are playing chess. And so I do agree on the speed aspect 100%. With when it comes to the draft, with majority of the offense being taken in the first round, defensive backs are getting crushed. Playing against those tight ends that are bigger, because what are they having to do? They're having to find a way to keep up with speed.
Yeah. And not being able to touch anybody.
Exactly. I mean, Kansas City has the fastest wide receiver. You mentioned earlier, Mikey, with running backs, it's actually wide receivers. You had Hollywood Brown, who ran a 4.27 40. Then you had Xavier Worthy, out of Texas, who ran a 4.21 40. And then, of course, you got Ray Rice, who runs 119 miles an hour. So, I mean, all in all,
we'll deal with that on a daily basis.
Exactly. I mean, you're only going to have to deal with 2 out of the 3, but still,
jam them, and I need somebody over the top.
Yep. So, last but not least, we have less than 10 minutes, so let's make this one short and sweet. Who do you guys think is set up the best to win this coming season between free agency and the draft so far? Mikey, we don't even have to ask you. We already know. Fly, Eagle, fly.
Okay, I guess that's
I'll
my
be
cue,
real.
Huh?
I'll be real unless Terry's ready.
No,
let's not be biased. You cannot pick. I'm going to say this. You cannot pick your team.
I gotta go.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't need
it. So, Mikey, who do you got? Who do you think is the best setup?
I feel like Philadelphia Eagles, bro. What do you mean? Now listen. In all seriousness, even though I think that the Philadelphia Eagles have done, again, let me reiterate that we do have a new DC and OC. On paper, we look fantastic, but we'll see what we could do. We got draft picks, free agencies, all the great stuff. Great, rah. Great to be a Philadelphia fan. We'll probably have a really good season, and I wish Jason Kelce would come back, but it looks like he signed a deal with ESPN. Okay, whatever. So,
mid-season pickup,
possibly. I will say that there's going to be a lot of shockers this year. I know we have Casey on there, obviously. Joe's back, guys. Have we forgot about the Cincinnati Bengals? He's back, and when he's back, he plays great, and that's one of the picks that I think that is going to shock a lot of people. That everybody forgot about them, and they're going to be in the mix. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. Anything that I'm saying right now, I'm not saying that these teams are going to win the Super Bowl. You told me what teams are set up to win. That team is set up to win. The Ravens just picked up Derrick Henry. That is going to be a big plus for them. Short yardage was an issue for them. And then they lost their tight end, and then they had to go with another tight end. I think his last name was Likely or Lively or whatever. He played decent, but it wasn't the same. You're going to get the short yardage, and then Lamar is going to have options. It's going to open up the field. Ravens are going to be good again. You got the Bills. They're going to suck. They're not going to be as good as they were. They got a lot of internal problems. They're going to have problems throughout the season. They're not going to be as good. Watch out for the Raiders, though. Raiders are going to be one of those teams that are going to shock a lot of people. I think that defense, I know you guys talk a lot about the offense and stuff, but that defense is going to be able to put their offense in position to win, to be a winnable games, right? Keep the score low and let it be winnable, and go in there and kick a field goal. Go in there and score a touchdown, and we win the game. Watch out for the Raiders on that. I picked them to split with everybody in their division, except the Chargers. I think they'll beat the Chargers twice. And then on the NFC side, I know you don't like to hear this, but Green Bay, man. Green Bay is the youngest team, and they did it last year, and I think they're going to be great again. They just added a running back who is 26
Josh
years
Jacobs.
old. Yep, that is 26 years old, and he's the oldest guy on their offense. Are you kidding me? Let's go. So they're going to be ready to go, and I think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I don't think Detroit is as much as of a threat as you guys will say that they are, and here's the reasons why. Jared Goff was great. He wasn't fantastic. They lost that game in the second half for a reason. And you don't think that that's displayed on film? Absolutely, 1,000%. And they lost some key players. They extended St. Brown, but they lost some defensive players. And I don't think that they're going to be the same team. Do I think that they're going to be set up to win? Absolutely. But are they going to go? I think they lost their chance at the NFC Championship, and I think that they're just going to be a one-round playoff team. And then other than that, I don't know who else in the NFC that is going to be a threat. I think that the 49ers maybe will be decent, but I don't think that you're going to see the same team. They're going to be beat up. They're one injury away from losing a game, and you're not. And that's just all of what it is. If you lose Trent Williams, if you lose Samuel, who has been injury prone every freaking year, and then you got Ayuk, who they only throw him the damn ball 3 times a game, and you expect to win football games? Come on now. This is where it gets spicy, it gets real, and 49ers faithful nation, bang bang Niner gang. This is where it gets real this year, and I don't think that you'll see. I don't think you'll see their coach back the following year. I think they make a change after this year.
Who do you got, Terry? Who do you think is the best setup?
Oh, the best setup. Well, this might be a kind of a pivot from your question, but I'm going to go with, just based on the draft and free agency alone, who is going to be the biggest, who's going to improve the most from last year to this next year. And there's a few teams I could take, but even if it wasn't my team that drafted number 1, I'm going to still say the pieces that you added free agency and in the draft. I can't go with the Eagles because I love their draft, but I'm not going to continue to build in with the fly over here. I'm seeing it. You've already said it once. You've already said it once. So I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. The Eagles, they're not playing around. So, but see, I'm not looking necessarily at that upper echelon of the NFC. I'm looking at that middle ground, especially the NFC. Just teams that are going to get better from last year based on just the draft. I mean, the Eagles were already top 2 or 3 teams in the division anyways, or in the conference anyways, right? So I'm looking for someone that's going to peak up. And again, I'm going to try to be as impartial as I can. I think all the pieces that the Bears have added, if Caleb Williams can just stand there and complete some passes, I think that team goes from winning, what did we win last year? 7 or whatever we ended up with.
7.
I think
7.
It's a 10-win team. And I think that's probably not going to get us in the playoffs, but I think it's a really big improvement. And because it's the Bears, the boring Bears, the slow Bears, the defensive Bears, you may see them a little bit more. You may see them a little offensively. But I don't want to leave leave you guys with the Bears. I want to leave you guys with a team that snuck into the playoffs last year and almost won that playoff game. Could have. And they replaced a Hall of Famer with the best edge rusher in the draft, and that's the Rams. They lost Aaron Donald. They had a really strong end of the season last year. They snuck into the playoffs there. They were hot at the end of the year. Stafford was playing well. They got cut back. They got that other guy that I don't even know how to pronounce his name, Tuka or whatever the heck his name was. Remember him? The rookie of the year. Puka Nacua. There we go. And, I mean, that team right there is still set up to win. And not only did they lose Donald, which, one of the best ever, I don't think they missed much of a beat with Verse. I think it was a good pick for them. They also picked up the running back who's going to be a good third back. Niners, East. Who's that third team, fourth team? And if they can get some secondary if Stafford stays healthy. But with Verse, their defense is still going to be middle of the pack. I like the Rams next year. So I'm going to go ahead and say that now. I think the Rams are my dark horse pick. And just based on that one pick alone, they had to replace Donald, and they did. So there you go.
So I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'm not going to say the Eagles because we know the Eagles did great. I'm not going to say the Bears because it's the freaking Bears. And I'm not even going to say as a Packer fan, it was the Packers. You know, I'm going to say this right now, and there's going to be a young man. He's a local guy. I actually watched him play in high school, but I'm going to say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay went and traded up to get a young wide receiver out of Washington who played in the top four and had 1,000 yards receiving last year. This season, he missed 4 games. And I'm talking about Jalen McMillan out of Washington. I watched that young man play at San Joaquin Memorial. They returned Mike Evans. They returned Baker Mayfield. That South is running. It's going through Tampa. But just so you guys know and how much I actually watched this young man play, he won 3 consecutive Valley Championship games. He only had 3 receptions as a freshman in high school. So his sophomore, junior, and senior year, he had over 5,000 yards receiving. And let me tell you, when he played against the Valley Championships game, like I said, I was firsthand witness because he played against Tulare Western in both 2007, the 17-18 season, and also the 19-20. And in the 18-19 season, he played against Tulare Union. He was lined up against 2 Division I cornerbacks with Jordan Burrell, who ended up going to Davidson, and then also Randy Jordan Jr., who went to Tulare Union. Full ride offer cornerbacks, and they got smoked. Jalen McMillan, like I said, 1,000 yards receiving his sophomore year. This last year, he had 600 yards and missed 4 games for Washington. I'm telling you right now, he has a great wide receiver to learn from. And I honestly think Jalen McMillan, they said he was his overall position ranking was 92. He was drafted 91st. He is my sleeper pick for the draft. Tampa Bay is set up best, and I honestly think they're going to make it past the wild card round because they're not going to be the best to make it, to get that first round bye. We know they're playing in the wild card because you have to get number 1 seed. But I really do think Tampa Bay in the NFC can make it to an NFC championship game. I don't think it's going to be Green Bay. I really don't. I think it's going to be, and I'm saying this right now, with that offense that they have set up and the defense that they had, because they drafted good on defense also. And that wasn't the only thing that they took. They took Graham Burton at center, added McMillan, and then on top of that, drafted Chris Braswell on edge. Out of fuck Bama, but seriously, I'm just saying this. I really do think Tampa Bay, if not this next year, within 2 years, Tampa Bay will be in the NFC Championship. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to talk about any other team.
No way.
Like I said, what they set
that's
up.
a bold prediction, but I like it.
To me, just looking at what they did overall, I mean, they adjusted every need in the draft, plus their free agency. I mean, you're talking about they brought in on free agency. You brought in Bryce Hall at cornerback. They needed a cornerback. They went and got one. So you got a veteran quarterback. They also added Quandre Mosley. He's a young cornerback. But the biggest thing, though, man, I mean, like seriously, 2 years, you're going to see Tampa playing in that NFC Championship. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team yet. I don't think Baker Mayfield is a Super Bowl quarterback. But we saw what he can do when it comes time to games on the line. He knew how to win. So that's what I got. And you're just going to see a massive improvement. I'm going to say this.
I think Shakur Sanders is going to end up a Cowboy.
Ooh.
Ooh-wee.
I don't know about that. I mean, it depends on wherever
I'm just
Deion,
saying that.
well,
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that because I wanted to object because I don't believe that the Buccaneers is going to end up winning this division.
Like I said, I wasn't going to be biased, but I'm just saying the talent that they have on that team, like seriously, they went to the divisional round. It's not like they lost in the wild card.
It wasn't hard for them to get there. It was like they were like a game out. It was like a game or two.
Come on. No. I'm just, yeah. I don't know, but that's what we got for tonight, I'm going to end it on that. So I appreciate you guys. Remember, hit like, follow, subscribe. If you're catching the restream, the replay, please share it. Help us out. Obviously, it's good to sit there and get people's feedback, and also good to sit there and see what people think. Because we're not just three guys that like to talk about sports, as fans. Because obviously, if I was talking about a fan, I'd be talking about the Packers, and I'm not going to do that. So, thank you all again. Appreciate to our sponsors.
I'll do it for you. Fly, you lie. Let's go.
Y'all have a good